Yaffee program on WVNN.
Well, we found out another truth over the weekend in a horrific situation in Idaho. But the truth is simple. It's been said many times. A lot of people don't like it. They don't want to hear it. But the truth is that the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That's just the reality in America today. There are a lot of people out there who might say, well, it'd be nice if the bad guy never got the gun in the first place. And I get that thinking to a point, but, we constantly call these things mass shootings. I mean, which they are. And I'm going to give you the latest details. This happened. It could have been a lot worse. Happened at an In-N-Out Burger in Idaho. Apparently, there was another mass shooting in Huntsville, but that was more of it seemed like gang-related violence or something back and forth. That wasn't just one person randomly targeting innocent people like in Idaho. But we keep calling these things mass shootings. Really what they are, they're terrorist attacks. They're just motivated by something different than the terrorists on 9/11 or something, but they're basically terrorist attacks. And the reason why I think it's important to call it that is because a terrorist is usually willing to die for what they're doing. On 9/11, they were willing to take their lives with the airplanes to bring down the Twin Towers. And a lot of these mass shooters, they end up killing themselves or getting killed in the process. And the reason I point that out is, let's say theoretically you can make all the guns in this country just disappear with the snap of a finger. We just get rid of all of the guns in the country. If you're a terrorist and you're willing to die in the process of what you're doing to kill innocent people because you're crazy, whatever, you honestly think that's going to stop them? They're going to say, well, I don't have a gun, so never mind. We have seen mass casualty events in this country caused by things other than guns. So to make it all about the gun, that's why it doesn't work. But if you are dealing with a bad guy with a gun, what we found in this situation, because of an off-duty officer and another person, who I'll give the details. They're releasing the details of who that person was. There's video up. I posted about it on my Facebook page. A good guy with a gun is the best thing to stop a bad guy with a gun. So we'll talk more about it. It is a horrific situation, unfortunately, but it could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. You're listening to the Yaffee program. This is the show where you can count on the latest news, the important guests, and the best analysis, all for your morning commute. Here on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Also, coming up on the show today, we'll get to those Alabama bullet points. There's more Alabama news and politics to talk about with Todd Stacy at the bottom of the hour. He is with Alabama Daily News. I don't know if you went to the GOP dinner that happened over the weekend, but one of the big issues was closing primaries in the state. So we'll have to see if that actually gets done in the next session next year. There was a bill that was brought up this year, and it just didn't make it through. A lot of Republicans are nervous about it, including some of our local politicians. I saw State Representative Philip Rigsby. We've had him on the show before. He's kind of against that. So we'll discuss that. Later on, we'll have our Sunday news shows recap. That's when I recap what happened on those Sunday news talk shows like Meet the Press and others. I give you Sunday off. So I do it on Monday, so you don't have to worry about it on Sunday. So we'll see what was talked about there. RFK Jr. got in a pretty heated exchange with Dana Bash on CNN State of the Union, so I'll play some of that. We also will end the show with the Yaffee program Rewind. We always take your text messages on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. I just brand it everything like Trump does. Instead of saying Trump whatever, I just call it Yaffee. Also, Walker is here producing once again. She's going to do What's Trending in the next hour. Walker, how are you this morning?
I'm tired because my cat decided from 3 a.m. onward that she was going to try and take anything and everything off of the coffee table.
Been there.
Yeah, she's mad that I ran out of wet food.
Oh. Yeah, that you don't do that.
Yeah, how dare I only give her dry food last night.
They're going to punish you. I mean, I'm in a similar situation, except it was a baby that was up last night.
Oh.
instead of a cat. So, but yeah, so we'll get through this together, Walker, I guess, because we're
Yes.
both pretty tired because of this. But I've been in your shoes. I've definitely been there.
Yeah.
I know I sent you a ton of audio today, Walker, but do you happen to have the audio ready?
I do have it ready.
Okay, good. We'll get to that in a moment. So let's talk more about what happened in Idaho. I'm going to read this from Fox News, give you some of the details. I'm sure many of you saw it over the weekend, the story. According to Fox here, Idaho In-N-Out Burger shooting motive still a mystery as the armed citizen who helped there speaks out. So apparently the man who fired back at the shooter, Idaho man Jordan Salinas, he said he did not like it when bullets started firing both ways, of course. Kind of stating the obvious here. Police are still working to determine why a 24-year-old gunman opened fire at a crowded In-N-Out Burger at Twin Falls, Idaho, killing 3 people and wounding 7 others before taking his own life after taking fire from a bystander and an off-duty Idaho state trooper. Now, Twin Falls Police Chief Matthew Hicks said Sunday that investigators were confident that this perpetrator acted alone. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and play the audio of what the police chief said. This is Police Chief Matthew Hicks. Play the police chief cut 1 for me, Walker.
At this time, we can confirm that the suspect, 24-year-old Chad Williams, is deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There are 3 victims that are deceased. 7 others are injured. 2 of those patients have been treated and released. 3 are in stable condition, and 2 are in critical condition.
All right, so that's sort of the latest. That's the only time I'm going to mention the suspect, by the way. I'm going to let him do it. I try not to do it. It kind of motivates people like this. But the best way to stop these horrific mass shootings are good guys with guns standing up against it. Once these nut jobs realize that they're just not going to be able to get away with it, I think we can finally prevent some of these from happening. Unfortunately, there are a lot of gun-free zones that they're going to start to target. But as I mentioned, good guys with guns stopping this. Go on and play cut 2 of the police chief for me.
We can confirm that there was an off-duty state trooper and a citizen who actively engaged the suspect by returning gunfire towards him. We want to take a moment and commend the actions of the off-duty officer and the citizen in their heroic action to stop this incident. We believe their actions helped drive the suspect away from the scene, preventing further casualties. We can confirm that in the minutes after law enforcement arriving and beginning their search for the suspect, we had a second officer-involved shooting. No one was injured in that incident, and the Twin Falls police officer involved in that shooting, his actions are now being reviewed by the Jerome Police Department. More information about that incident will be forthcoming in the days to follow.
Now, I will say it is pretty crazy that they targeted this person, this nut job, targeted someone in their Tesla when they were charging. Also targeted an In-N-Out Burger. So it could be that it was just a crowded place. But, you know, it's also a very Christian organization. I don't know if that's related. We don't know the motivation at all. Maybe he's a former worker. We have no idea. Now, it says here, police have not publicly identified the trooper or the bystander, but the Idaho Statesman, which is an outlet, detailed the heroics of Jordan Salinas, 35 of Kimberly, Idaho, strapped by the shoulder with an FN-F7 semi-automatic pistol fitted with a suppressor. And there's a lot of video of him firing back. Now, Salinas is apparently a reported healthcare worker, the full-time caregiver of his wheelchair-bound brother. That's what the paper was told. He took up gun training after a 2021 shooting, never even aiming a gun at an animal, saying he was able to observe, orient, and decide that, okay, this is the guy, he said, before being resolute to act. Now, the gunman, he said, was shocked by the armed response. So he was actually talking about the gunman there. He said he did not like it when bullets started firing both ways. Salinas, whose girlfriend at the restaurant was stuck in Williams' fire, told the Statesman, adding he felt no fear. He said there's a task that needs to be done, and we're the ones who need to do it, he added, only standing down when he said police took over the scene, thinking, okay, my part is done. Now, the shooter was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound near the restaurant. That's according to police. So, a horrific situation. You wish it never happened. 3 people are dead that should be alive, including one of the workers at the restaurant. But this is what I'm saying. It was the NRA director years ago. So the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. He got pillied for that. A lot of people hated him for saying that. But in this country right now, you're not going to get rid of all the guns. You're not going to get rid of the Second Amendment. And you're not going to stop nut jobs from wanting to kill other people like this. So the best thing that could happen are people who are vigilant and able to defend themselves. Now, maybe you disagree. You can tell me. We have the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. Now, the other big news over the weekend, I do want to update real quick, and we'll do more of this during the Sunday News Show's recap, of course. But we do have another pause. You want to talk about bad guys with guns, it's Iran. It'd be nice if we could be the good guys with the guns stopping them. But according to the Wall Street Journal, it says, after days of threats to launch a new offensive against Iran, President Trump is once again trying to achieve through diplomacy what he has yet to accomplish through war. The question is whether Trump's Gulf partners can make enough headway in the days ahead to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to shipping. Now, according to Trump, it was because a lot of the Arab partners told him to kind of back off here. Go ahead if you can, Walker. Play Trump Cut 1 because he did talk about this.
Just see how it is. We're ready to go anytime we want. Would I rather make a deal? I'm not looking to kill people. Saudi Arabia, by UAE, and by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go. We had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II, and it would have been disastrous for them.
Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio also commented on this in an interview over the weekend. Play the Marco Rubio cut for me.
I don't think the Iranian regime has ever faced a president like President Trump, which is someone that actually takes action. You know, they got used to for 20 or 30 years, not just the U.S., but the broader world, allowing them to get away with things like lying, breaking deals, tricking people into agreements and so forth. In this particular case, they're pretty straightforward. Iran wants a nuclear weapon, and they were building a conventional missile shield they were going to hide behind. In essence, they wanted to be in a position a year and a half from now to be able to say, we have so many drones and so many missiles, you can't possibly defend against them. That's the place they wanted to get to. President Trump said, I'm not going to let you get to that place. And he went after, wiped out their Navy, wiped out their Air Force, wiped out their missile defenses, wiped out their launchers, wiped out their factories that make all of these things, and severely degraded their defense capabilities. Now, they still have missiles and they still have drones and they can still do damage, but they no longer have that shield, that conventional shield that they could hide behind. And that's changed the whole dynamic. It's the only reason why they are now willing, and in some cases seem eager, to do a deal on denuclearization, to do a deal on the Straits.
All right, so if you want to react to any of this, updated a lot there, and we'll do more of that later on in the show, but I wanted to get that in. You can weigh in. We have the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. Coming up next, we'll have the Alabama Bullet Points, and Todd Stacy will join us at the bottom of the hour. This is the Yaffee Program.
It's the Yaffee Program on WVNN.
We are back here on the Yaffee Program, and yes, I am Alabama's voice of reason, Huntsville's conservative conscience, here on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Got some people weighing in on the text line already. I'll get to those in a moment, but right now, got to get to those headlines. We have the Alabama Bullet Points.
Alabama Bullet Points. Today's headlines from around the Yellowhammer State.
Sponsored by Larry's Pistol and Pawn. Number 4 today, Tommy Tuberville continues to criticize Dr. Fauci after what he called an unproductive COVID-19 Senate hearing. So U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville, who's going to be our next governor, continued his sharp criticism of Dr. Anthony Fauci following a contentious Senate committee hearing on COVID, telling reporters that Fauci refused to answer over 100 questions by pleading the fifth 111 times, as you know, instead of explaining pandemic policies that closed businesses, forced remote schooling, and isolated parents. So Tuberville called Fauci nothing but a lying crook, faulted the unelected and unconfirmed former NIAID director for wielding excessive power that affected millions, including tens of thousands of deaths in Alabama, and noted that Fauci became the highest paid federal officer during his 38-year tenure. The senator also reiterated his interest, if elected Alabama governor, in exploring whether the state could prosecute or imprison Fauci. Number 3 today, Governor Kay Ivey joins GOP governors urging the Senate to pass the $95 billion budget plan. And there is some breaking news this morning that apparently the Senate has come up with a deal on that. So Alabama Governor Kay Ivey joined 22 other Republican governors in a letter urging the U.S. Senate to pass a $95 billion budget resolution as a key first step toward advancing President Donald Trump's party line spending package. They want them to do it via the reconciliation process. Now, the framework, already approved by the House, includes about $60 billion for the Pentagon and $13 billion for intelligence programs amid costs from the Iran conflict, $12 billion in farm relief, and $10 billion to implement portions of the Save America Act requiring voter ID and proof of citizenship for federal elections. Senate Republicans remain divided. Majority Leader John Thune noted insufficient votes. But as I mentioned, we'll talk more about this with Todd Stacey because they have a report on that. Maybe there is a deal in the works. Number 2 today, Attorney General Steve Marshall's office is working with the Trump administration to cut off UAB funding for study on transgender male vaginal health. I'm a little torn on this, actually. I'll tell you why in a moment. The Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall's office is collaborating with the Trump administration to terminate federal funding for the University of Alabama at Birmingham's research into this issue of transgender men. Following reports that the UAB received NIH and HHS grants, including a $316,000 award running through 2029 and a prior nearly $440,000 grant. The reason I'm torn on this, and I'm curious if you agree, if we end up doing this study and it does show that women who are actually men but they get some kind of surgery, or maybe the opposite, actually does damage to whatever it is, or a woman saying they're a man and it does damage to their privates, maybe it could actually help our cause. And number 1 today, Alabama Republican Party rallies behind closed primaries during their annual summer meeting. So at its annual summer meeting in Montgomery, the Alabama Republican Party's State Executive Committee unanimously updated its platform to support closed primaries, which would bar members of other parties from voting in Republican primaries, following failed legislative efforts and amid concerns over Democratic crossover voting, encouraged by Alabama Democratic Party Vice Chair Tabitha Eisner. We've talked about that on the show before. Now, the gathering, the first under the new chair of the Republican Party, State Representative Scott Stadhagen, opened with a celebration of America's 250th anniversary, featuring remarks from U.S. Senators Katie Britt and Tommy Tuberville, among others. Now, attendees also considered but indefinitely tabled a bylaws change that would have imposed a 7-year ban on party nominations for those who unsuccessfully challenged the party or its officials in court. Now, the next meeting is set for February 2027. And yes, this report brought to you by Larry's Pistol and Pawn. If you're looking for the best selection of jewelry in town, I keep telling you, go to Larry's Pistol and Pawn. You can go to the mall, pay too much, or go to Larry's Pistol and Pawn today. Over there in Madison off Greenbrier, exit 3 by the big rusty water tower. Most of my friends, most of my family members have gone there when they've needed jewelry. See more at their website, pistolandpawn.com. You can see what I'm talking about. When you go, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
We're back on the Yaffee program. This is News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN, making radio great again. That's what the T-shirt says. I know many of you probably wearing the T-shirt right now, the Yaffee shirts that say that. So thank you. Thank you for that. Just have to say. Joining me on the show right now is Todd Stacey. He is with Alabama Daily News and also host of Alabama Public Television's Capital Journal. Todd, how are you this morning?
I'm great, Yaffee. How are you?
Doing good. A little sleepy, I have to admit, but other than that, I'm okay. Did you happen to go to the GOP dinner over the weekend?
No, I was on the coast. I was at the Alabama Bankers Association conference and a couple of conferences, actually. But Claire was there. Claire was there and had a great report from Montgomery. It looked like a well-attended event.
Yeah, I wasn't able to go either, but I did see that one, they gave Governor Kay Ivey an award, like a kind of like a lifetime achievement award, I think. And also the big deal was that at least the party platform kind of pushed closed primaries again. So any thoughts on any of that?
Well, I mean, the Governor Kay Ivey thing. I mean, I think that's appropriate, right? That's probably going to be her last GOP summer meeting as governor. When she finishes, she'll be the longest consecutively serving governor in their state history. Wallace, of course, did 3 terms, but they were not back to back. So that's a heck of an accomplishment, and she's accomplished a lot. I mean, I was talking at this conference I was at. 'Cause people are asking about the future and what her legacy is going to be, and people forget. 2017 was a long time ago. Almost 10 years, and so her taking the reins after the debacle that was the Bentley administration and Bentley himself. And it wasn't just that. You had Roy Moore kicked out of office. You had Mike Hubbard, the Speaker of the House, removed from office after being convicted. There was a big problem. There was a dearth of leadership in the state. I mean, just think about those branches of government, losing their leaders. And so for her to step up and steady the ship, as she always would say, it's a pretty big deal. And there have been some big accomplishments along the way. So I guess I'm glad to hear that they did that. That was appropriate.
Now, you mentioned that her role was to steady the ship, which she definitely took that seriously. Tuberville kind of used his role differently. When he's going to become our governor, it's not going to be just steady, right? It's going to be full steam ahead kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess we're all kind of waiting to see. And there's a lot of chatter going on, right? He's asked about what he wants to do just about every step of the way, and it kind of changes here or there. And I would be surprised if he really actually knew day one what he wanted to do, and that's part of the learning curve. Every new governor wants to come in and do something. You want to do something, make a positive change in one way or the other. It's just been a while since we've had, somebody actually, brand new. And it's not as if, I go back to the Riley administration when Bob Riley comes in, elected in 2002, comes in 2003 and, wants to do a lot, but he's taking over from a Democratic administration, and he's got a Democratic legislature. So, there was plenty to do and plenty to fight. This is a little different. This is a Republican administration, a solidly Republican legislature, and a lot of work has already been going on in terms of improvements to the state. So I have no doubt he wants to notch a lot of wins and get a lot of things accomplished. The question is going to be what? One of the first things he started talking about was improving education, which absolutely, let's go. let's do it. Thing is, there have been really important strides made in the last several years to kind of lay that foundation. And I think a lot of legislative leaders especially are hoping that he doesn't want to just kind of scrap all that and start from scratch. First of all, I don't think they'd let him do that. The legislature still has the power. I think a lot of folks are just wondering, what are the specifics? We know that Coach wants to hit the ground running, but what are the specifics? And what do you actually want to do? And will you allow others to help you, others who have been around a while, help you understand how to get those wins, knowing that, they know the landscape better than he does.
One of the more controversial things he brought up recently was data centers. He wants to basically allow as many in as possible. It could be good for the economy. He admits, he'll be part of the negotiations to make sure that taxpayers and residents, they don't get screwed on electricity and stuff like that. But you have his opponent, Doug Jones, out there trying to make it an issue that he would be against construction of new data centers. He wants a moratorium. Of course, the other thing is expanding school choice, where Doug Jones says he wants to phase out the school choice programs. What are your thoughts on those things?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm glad that Tuberville, I haven't read like every book, chapter, and verse of what he said about data centers, but I'm glad to hear any candidate not kind of give in to the hysteria about data centers. I mean, I've been watching this situation grow really over the last year to where, this is, I don't know, it's like really snowballed, this idea that data centers are terrible, they're bad, they're going to kill you and poison your water and just, but I'm seeing this happen through a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of foreign propaganda coming from China, probably coming from other places, absolutely meant to make Americans afraid of these things. Not unlike some of the political propaganda that we see coming from other countries, the pro-Hamas kind of stuff. And that makes me really distrustful. Data centers are going to be needed as long as we are addicted to these phones and are using more and more data than ever before and ever will. You're going to have somewhere to put all that information, especially with the emergence of AI. I'm not saying I love all that stuff, but it's happening. And do we want those data centers to be based here, or do we want them to be based in China or even Mexico where they're vulnerable, or other places? I think there's a pretty obvious answer to that. I understand every community is not the best place for a data center. I think rural makes a lot more sense, but and certainly nothing should be forced on a community. That's of course that's the case. But I'm glad to hear any candidate not give into this hysteria. It almost kind of reminds me of COVID and other times when we get all worked up over something without taking a break and really trying to research the issue and coming to a conclusion. It's really easy as a politician just to kind of respond to a populist theme and say, "Oh yeah, that's what the governor of New York did, right?" That's what folks around the country are doing, or just saying, "Yeah," responding to that, trying to hop on the bandwagon. It's actually a bigger issue than that, and Tuberville is right that if Alabama is open to these data centers and can do it in a responsible way, we stand to gain a lot economically from it.
Yeah, I tend to be on your side on this. You compared it to the COVID hysteria. That's a good comparison. It reminds me of the fracking hysteria when we first started really fracking.
Yeah.
And just all the communities like, no, it's going to hurt the water and electricity and cause earthquakes. And it's like, a lot of that was hysteria. By the way, have you heard, could you take a guess what the next hysteria is going to be? If you another moral panic?
I can't wait.
Flock cameras. That's the new one I've noticed. I don't know if you've seen all that.
Well, yeah. So, and that's what politicians do. They'll hop on the next thing, and I don't know. But this is a really important one. Data centers. It's really important. I agreed with what the legislature did in terms of scaling back the very generous economic incentives. I guess those were Bentley era, and that was back when nobody really knew what data centers were. You had, Meta knocking on the door and Google and Apple. And so these big Silicon Valley names. And so we're like rolling out the red carpet. Well, that was 10 years ago or 11 or 12 years ago. We know more now. We know that these data centers, if they're going to be a good fit, they need to pay a lot of their own way. And so I thought what the legislature did to rein some of that in was positive. But they didn't put a moratorium on it. They didn't say we're closed for business, and that's a good thing, too.
Speaking with Todd Stacy, he is with Alabama Public Television's Capital Journal. You were talking about AI as well, and I understand that came up during Capital Journal as you were talking with Eric Mackey about education, correct?
Well, it wasn't me. I didn't host the show this week. That was my colleague, Randy Scott. He took over the reins for me as I was traveling to a conference. But, yeah, I'm sure it did. Yeah, and I've watched it. It's a good conversation. Obviously, there's a lot of concern about AI in the classroom and how do we take advantage of this? There's clearly we need students to understand and be able to apply AI. We also need to stop it from taking over their lives and taking over schools. There's a good balance there. I think Dr. Mackey and his team understand that. You might see some legislative reforms aimed at fixing that or just trying to get ahead of it, because we don't want to be behind the power curve when it comes to AI in schools. Some people want to ban it completely. Some people want to bring it into the classroom. There's probably a good balance somewhere. Because remember, we did just ban cell phones in schools, which I think was a very positive thing. So you may want to bring AI in, but you got to be careful how to do that, considering we just did a pretty good thing in making sure kids aren't on their screens all day long.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it's not going away. It's probably better to teach them how to use it properly in a way, instead of just saying we're going to ban it, but you don't want to be completely dependent on it. By the way, you said you were at a banking conference. What was it about?
The Alabama Bankers Association, I guess they had about 800 members of the banking community there. They're CEOs and C-suite folks, and so they gather every year. I've been asked to speak a few times over the years, and it's generally an update on what they're learning about all kinds of banking things that are way over my head, including some AI stuff that's way over my head. I'll have to ask my brother about those details, but for me, they wanted a political update. What's happening in this election year, both nationally and at the state and local level. And so I was happy to offer that and hang around and talk some politics to folks like that. It's conference season, and so I found myself being asked to go to all these conferences to give talks or to bring Capital Journal or whatever. And so that's summer in Alabama, man.
Okay, there you go. Todd Stacy with Alabama Daily News. Read his stuff at aldailynews.com. Todd, always appreciate it. Talk to you again next week.
All right, Yaffee, be good.
All right, coming up next, we'll start our Sunday news shows recap. This is the Yaffee Program.
The Yaffee Program.
Welcome back to the Yaffee Program. News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. I am, Yaffee, of course. Even though Dale doesn't want me to tell you, my first name is Mike or Michael. Some people literally ask me that. They have no idea what my first name is. Yaffee is my real last name, believe it or not. Yaffee. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and X. So it's important you know how to spell it. Couple of texts coming in on the Yaffee text line. One person said this. We were talking about gun control before. Said if the dirty Dems' anti-Second Amendment gun control wishes come true, the good guys with guns will become felons if they don't comply with confiscation orders. As seen in Twin Falls, we need good guys with guns who are able to legally possess and carry. Okay, tend to agree with that. Casey in Newmarket weighed in on the Iran situation, said if Democrats want this Iranian war to end, fine, then let's stop sending aid to Ukraine as well, which has lasted far longer with far more casualties and far more money, munitions, and other war materials spent hypocritically enough. That is a good point. That is a great point. All these people that are like, oh, we're spending too much on munitions. Like, you didn't care about that when it came to Ukraine. Now you care? Just because Trump's doing it, I guess? All right, on that note, we got to talk about these subjects and more for the Sunday News Shows recap. recapping those Sunday news talk shows so you don't have to watch them. You don't have to worry about it. I'm talking Meet the Press, Fox News Sunday, Face the Nation, CNN State of the Union, and others. I give you the highlights, the interviews on Monday, so you can take Sunday off. My public service to you, as you know. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, so one of the clips, a couple of the clips that went viral was R.F. Kennedy Jr., who was our Health and Human Services Secretary, got into a heated exchange many times during their interview on CNN State of the Union. They were talking about COVID response, vaccines. I almost didn't want to play these cuts. I don't really like either of them. I'm not a huge fan of RFK Jr. He's one of those that takes a grain of truth and kind of stretches it a little bit too much, I think. But obviously not a fan of Dana Bash either on CNN. But go ahead if you can, Walker. Play RFK cut 1 for me.
It is also factually true that the COVID vaccine worked. The COVID vaccine prevented deaths. There is data upon data upon data. Let's talk about the measles, please, because this is something that is happening as we speak. The cases in the U.S.
vaccine protected children.
I think that what I have talked to scientists and doctors about.
Scientists. Can you show me one study?
Yes, I can.
That shows that
I can.
Children were protected by the COVID vaccine.
I can tell you that there
vaccine did more good than harm to children. Can you show me one study that shows that?
I can tell you that when it comes to the vaccine, there have been studies that show that because of vaccine disinformation, there could have been 100 to 200,000 lives in the U.S. saved. But because people didn't get the vaccine, that's why. I'm not saying that it entirely.
You are saying nonsense. You are saying something that you cannot show me a single study.
I am not saying nonsense.
You are talking what somebody told you.
Excuse me.
And you cite me the study. What study?
No, what studies are you talking about? You're talking about studies that actually don't exist. I want to talk about.
So that was like pretty much the whole interview, by the way, is this back and forth. The fact is, the vaccine was probably mostly not necessary for kids because COVID wasn't particularly dangerous for the average kid unless they had some kind of previous condition. So RFK Jr. is right there. Go on and play cut 2 for me.
I want to talk about.
Cite me the study that you're talking about.
I am not here to defend.
Study. Cite me the study.
This is not productive. I am not here to defend all of the. Let me
you're
finish.
Talking nonsense. You're making assertions you can't support, and then when I call you on them, you're telling me that I'm arguing.
Okay.
With
Do you want to talk about assertions that you can't support? I'll get there in a second. Let me just say, for the record, that I am not saying that the entire way that the COVID reaction was accurate. It was a scary time, and people made mistakes. Absolutely.
You were scaring people.
Why are you saying that?
Because that was the job of CNN.
Okay.
Was to put the chyrons up about how many people are dying.
We were trying to we were listening to the leaders in this country, including the president, who had a daily press conference explaining what was going on and trying to listen.
Were you listening?
I want to talk to measles.
Actually, were you reading the
measles?
All right. So, I mean, he's right. You had CNN and others push one side and would not accept any alternatives, which means people now don't trust the so-called experts. But the problem is now it goes too much in the other direction where too many people don't want to get vaccinated at all for anything, which is also a problem, I think. We'll talk more about this during the Sunday News Show's recap as we continue on the next hour. Right now, I want to talk about my good friends at Get VIP Care. I want to talk to some experts when it comes to getting primary doctor care for those 65 years and older. Go to getvipcare.com and get everything done in one place. Same-day appointments, 24/7 support, and more. Getvipcare.com. When you contact them, let them know Yaffee sent you.
It's the Yaffee Program on WVNN. The Yaffee Program on WVNN.
So I gotta admit, I'm almost getting to the point because of this on-again, off-again war against Iran If the war against Iran were a relationship in Facebook, I guess it would be it's complicated, right? And would that be the would that be the qualification here? Anyway, I'm starting to think we should just bomb the hell out of them once. Bomb Pickaxe Mountain, anywhere they might have nuclear facilities, and just leave after that. Say, job done. They're not going to get a nuke anytime soon. We'll go home. Maybe I know that still kind of puts the Strait of Hormuz as a problem. Maybe. But if we're not going to finish the job, this on again, off again, it's complicated middle ground we have with Iran. I'm not the only one who thinks this. A lot of people are just getting exhausted by it. So it's like, what's the goal here? If the goal is just to make sure they don't get a nuke, bomb any potential nuke facility as much as we can, and then leave. And then if they start building it up again, just go back and bomb it again. Is that the approach? You can tell me what you think on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. This is the second hour of the Yaffee program, right here on Newstalk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. And it is Monday, so you know what that means. Time for more of the Sunday News Show's recap. Recapping those Sunday news talk shows so you don't have to worry about it. I do it for you on Monday so you can watch. I have a friend who watches Bonanza on Sundays instead. They're news junkies, though. They want to get the details, but they're willing to wait until I give them the details. Technically, I do that for you every day, but especially on Mondays. You're welcome. You're welcome. So I actually want to talk, once again, the issue of the Democratic Socialists of America. The commies, like Mamdani. That issue came up once again. It's interesting. You have former Senator of West Virginia, Joe Manchin. He's trying to do a push, I guess, to be like a third party, easier for third parties to weigh in or something. He was on CBS Face the Nation. He was there with his sister, actually. They're both working on this. But he was asked about the Democratic Socialists, and it was kind of a funny response. Go on and play Joe Manchin cut one.
Heather, could you ever support a self-described socialist candidate?
No.
No way. My God, no.
And even if they have some good ideas?
I support the good ideas, but how could you support some of the crazy stuff they're for? Have you seen their platform? They're for dismantling everything that we know, whether it be the structure of government, Congress itself, or the Senate they want to get rid of. And then they start talking about all the crazy things. No police, no this, no that. Mm-hmm. Are you crazy? We want a crime-free area. We have to have police for that. Yeah. We want a strong defense. We want a strong border. But if Democrats can't say that, and they start lining up with the socialist demands of what you are to be a socialist, energy will be gone. There'll be no energy, okay? We have right now a tremendous amount of energy we're producing, and the world depends more on us than ever before. Mm-hmm. But we can do more.
So, he's right on that, but it shows one of the reasons why he's basically not there anymore. Moderates were not allowed really in the Democrat Party. That's how they got to this point. Democrats for years have played the game of socialism light. Not fully on board with abolish everything, but, sort of flirting with some of that. Medicare for all is an example. Bernie Sanders stuff. Well, that stuff's not going to work either. Socialism light doesn't work either. So when it doesn't work, the base of the Democrat Party says, well, forget it. Let's just do full-on socialism. Maybe that will work. That's how you get here. Go and play cut 2 of Joe Manchin.
I'm sorry, doesn't it surprise you that even leadership in the Democrat Party can't just say no? They can't say no? That
they're seeing an appeal, apparently.
But it shows you
to the far left.
But control has now completely outweighed character. If you're more interested in control, and that's all that it matters, your vote count, versus the character of the person and what the platform they're running on, mm-hmm. I think we're living with the consequences of that.
Margaret, the Democrat Party has lost more registration, more people identifying as Democrats than ever before. So if that was going to be the case, what would be the hope? Right now you have high polls, right?
Yeah.
Democrats should be 20, 30 points ahead if that's where the country's going. They're not. They're still behind. The bottom line is we're not getting anything accomplished because the two-party system has drowned out everything. They have just choked it out.
All right, there you go. So he wants to get rid of just the two-party system. Don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But they're complaining about the far left. Now, we can complain about it all we want, but they are winning elections. Now, someone who's sort of flirted with socialism light, become more and more enamored with it in recent years, but trying to once again portray himself as more of a moderate is Ro Khanna. So he's a Democrat congressman out of California. He was on Fox News Sunday. He most likely wants to run for president, has been very anti-Israel recently. But go ahead and play Ro Khanna, cut 1 for me.
I'll tell you why they're winning. People are upset at an unfair political and economic system. They can't afford gas. They can't afford food. Young people can't afford to buy a home or get a job. But what I've said, I've called it economic patriotism, that we need a future economy delivering prosperity for every American and every community, not just enriching billionaires in a few places. And America's next New Deal. And I call myself an FDR Democrat, and I think that's a big tent that can actually bring change in this country.
All right, so you can tell that even he's starting to understand the threat of the Democrat socialists and trying to moderate a little bit. The problem is, like I said, even what he's talking about, it's flirting with the socialist. It's sort of socialist light. And eventually, it's just not going to be good enough for the base. That's what we're seeing. I'm going to play cut 2 of Ro Khanna.
Well, I point out that I am for secure borders. Obviously, I believe in the Supreme Court. Now, I'm for term limits on Supreme Court justices, 18 years. I am for the Senate, but I don't think we should have the filibuster. Frankly, that's a position that some Republicans are for. I'm for term limits on members of Congress and senators. I'm for getting rid of PAC money, super PAC money. I'm for a constitutional amendment to ban big money in politics. So we need reform, but I love the Constitution. I mean, I was born in Philadelphia in 1976, and I revere our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution.
Okay, it's very interesting. I think he has noticed how extreme he has sounded, and that's probably not good for his political future. And trying to moderate and admits he reveres the Declaration of Independence. I mean, maybe Democrats, at least some have learned their lesson, but, you know, when I say they flirt with socialism light, an example is, well, he says he wants a secure border, but he also says we need to abolish ICE. You see what I mean? You can't have one without the other, really. He say he just wants, I just want reform, but then he'll say, I want Medicare for all, which technically is pretty radical in terms of our system. And on it goes. And that's why I say he might not be as extreme as some of the Democrat socialists, but you have leaders like him still saying some of the same stuff. Maybe he doesn't want government grocery stores, but he wants to rein in the evil grocery companies or something. Is it really that much of a difference? Going to play cut 3 of Ro Khanna.
Absolutely not. Of course we need borders. A nation needs borders. A nation needs secure borders. As a son of immigrants, I say that. My father he came on a student visa to the University of Michigan. They got a green card. I was born in Philadelphia in 1976. We have a process in this country. And of course, we need prisons. Now, we should have a debate about mass incarceration. I don't think we should just be putting people with marijuana convictions into jail for mandatory minimums. But of course, if someone commits murder, if someone commits armed robbery, they belong in jail.
Now, I just have to say, because as I mentioned, he's one of these people really wants to abolish ICE, but he says we need a secure border and a strong system. And I keep pointing, look at what happened in Spain. You see the videos. There's a big border fence there. Technically they have a strong border, but they don't have good enforcement and good policies on the inside to the point where, if they come through the water, they can get in or something. So having just a border fence is not enough. That's why ICE is important in order to have a real process. So the border itself doesn't get overwhelmed. One of the reasons why we don't see people right now trying to really get into this country is because they know if they do end up getting in, they can still be caught by ICE. So they don't want to make the effort. Going to play cut 4 of Ro Khanna.
First, I'll tell you while Abdul is winning. He's winning because he's for free health care for Americans and Medicare for all. He's winning because he doesn't believe in money in politics and these super PACs that are spending millions of dollars. And he's winning because he thinks that billionaires in places like my district should be paying fair tax, just like teachers and nurses pay. But I've always said that I believe in the right of Israel to exist as a Jewish democratic state. I have been unequivocal in condemning anti-Semitism. People disagree with me because I've also said I believe in a Palestinian state, and I believe that there's occupation in the West Bank and Gaza, and they disagree with that. But I believe there should be a Palestinian state with a secure Israel state and no place for any anti-Semitism.
It sounds like he's trying really hard to moderate himself. Well, I mean, which is smart. But now I'm curious how the base reacts to these comments. But maybe he's learning his lesson. I doesn't see, because I mean, the beginning of his comment, he said, well, he believes in free healthcare. Nothing is free. You could call it, quote unquote, free healthcare all you want. Someone's going to pay for it, and it's going to be the taxpayer. Who are the taxpayers? You. Listen, it's not free. So it's the flirting with socialism without actually going full bore like democratic socialists. Is that going to be enough for the base? Go on and play cut 5 of Ro Khanna.
Well, the Democratic Party needs reform. Look, this is a party that hasn't delivered enough for working class Americans. We shouldn't have supported NAFTA. We shouldn't have supported China into the World Trade Organization. We shouldn't have watched wealth pile up in Wall Street and Silicon Valley while unions were decimated. And what people are saying is we've got to get back to our FDR roots. We need to be a party that is for the working class. We need to be a party that has economic prosperity across this country for every American. And we need a new, bold economic vision. So I think the reform is good as long as it is for ordinary Americans who have been shafted in the current economy.
Oh, man. One of these days, I'm going to really break down how we got to this point in our current economy. And no, it's not because of unfettered free markets, like he has been saying. But if you want to weigh in, you can. We have the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. One more segment of the Sunday News Show's recap coming up next on the Yaffee program.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
We're back here on the Yaffee program. News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. I am the bulwark of talk radio on WVNN. I didn't say that. A listener did on the text line one day. So I'm stealing it because I like it. Also, let's get to it. We have the final segment here of the Sunday News Show's recap. Recapping those Sunday news talk shows for you, so you don't have to worry about it. I mean, you get Sundays off. I do it for you on Monday. Pretty simple. By the way, this segment of the program is brought to you by Jay's Appliance Outlet. Right now, you can upgrade your laundry space with high-performance washers and dryers designed for efficiency, reliability, and everyday convenience if you go to Jay's Appliance Outlet. Because when you go there to update that washer and dryer, they have smart washers and dryers as well. You can get them for a great price. So explore the newest models and find the perfect fit for your home. They have brands like Amana, Maytag, and much, much more. And 0% interest financing for those who qualify. Really is awesome. So you can upgrade your home and better appliances and smart savings in the process. So go to Jay's Appliance Outlet. They're located off 72 in Athens. You can give them a call and talk to a real person. Dial pound 250, say the keywords Jay's Appliance Outlet, or go to the website, see much more on all of the appliances they sell, and they can service your appliance as well. Go to jaysapplianceoutlet.com. That's jaysapplianceoutlet.com. When you go, let them know you heard about it from Yaffee. So earlier I was talking about the war on Iran. I'm getting to the point where I think maybe we should just bomb one big bombing and just leave. Bomb any area that might have the potential to build a nuke and then say forget it. Because we're once again, Trump did this pause. I guess we're back in Project Pause. It was Operation Give Them Space. Now it just seems like it's Operation let's see what happens. I don't. The Arab leaders in the other countries decided to pressure Trump to do another type of pause here. I'm not a fan of this. Someone else who's not really a fan of this is Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana. I thought he made some sense on what he was saying here. So go on and play a John Kennedy cut 1 for me, Walker.
Do you believe a deal can be reached rapidly, Senator?
Well, I hope so. I'm always willing to give peace a chance. Respectfully, I would remind President Trump of 3 things. Number one, the only reason that Iran is coming to the table, if indeed they are, is because Israel and the United States of America have torn them a new ashtray. Number two, no deal is just fine. Not preferred, but not preferable, but it's fine. A bad deal isn't. Number three, he has to remember that the Iranian government learned to lie before they learned to talk. And they're more than mildly insane. Dealing with them is like dealing with Son of Sam or Charles Manson. Whatever he does, do not release the sanctions, stopping their sale of oil, or remove the blockade until we see Iran take firm actions to open the strait. That's my opinion.
Well, the final point.
I tend to agree with him. Look, no deal is better than a bad deal. That's why I'm like, look, if we're not going to get a good deal, and we're not going to really finish the job, then maybe just bomb Pickaxe Mountain, some other places, and leave, or at least focus on opening the strait. I've been saying that for a while. I'm going to play cut 2 of John Kennedy. He was on Meet the Press.
Why would this time be different?
Well, it may not be. But I think we have lost perspective a little bit on Iran. Do you know why Hezbollah and Hamas are degraded? Do you know why Iran is the furthest away it's ever been from having a nuclear warhead? Do you know why Iran doesn't have an air force or a navy? Do you know why its weapons stockpile and launchers and weapons production plants have been substantially degraded? It's because Israel and America hit them so hard they coughed up bones. And I think that it has made the world measurably safer as a result. Now, the strait is a problem. That's a big understatement. You don't have to be a senior at Caltech to know we only have 3 choices: escalate, retreat, and come home, or maintain the status quo. I would maintain the status quo as long as I could. Sanctions, blockade. I would bomb Pickaxe Mountain and try to reach any fissile material and centrifuges underneath. I don't know whether the president should start a new bombing campaign again because I don't have the military intelligence. Now, that's a problem too, because it'll cause a lot of pain. It'll cause energy prices to go up and a lot of inflation for the American people. They're all hellish choices. So, but for the moment, I'd maintain the status quo.
Well, I agree with that. We need to bomb Pickaxe Mountain. He's basically saying maintain the status quo, which I think is maintain the blockade, the economic sanctions, bomb a couple of places, and even if we don't get a deal, at least maintain what we have now. And eventually they'll crumble. I'm guessing that's what he's getting at. I mean, I'm starting to think, though, just bomb and leave. If we can't get a deal, we're not going to finish the job. We're not going to really do what it takes to cripple the regime. And we're not going to focus on reopening the strait with everything we have. Then just leave. Not because I think we're losing or something, but if we don't have the will to finish the job, which, I mean, some suggest maybe we don't, then I mean, this middle ground is not working. All right, we're going to move on, shift gears a little bit. What's trending is coming up next. I always end the show with the Yaffee program Rewind. We'll be back here in just a sec.
The Yaffee program.
We're back here on the Yaffee program. I'm laughing a little bit because earlier on in the show, I reminded people that Yaffee, Y-A-F-F-E-E, is my real last name. And Michael, or Mike, is my first name. Some people forget that. Well, someone texted in and said, I thought your name was Yaff and Fee. So first name Yaff, last name Fee. No, it's not two separate words, believe it or not. Just one word. Yaffee. My first name, believe it or not, is Mike. My middle name is Scott, if anyone cares about that. All right. Walker is here as well, so let's get right to it. We have What's Trending with Walker.
Keeping you up to date with all that's trending in your world.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
You guys know how to post videos to Facebook?
It's What's Trending.
And you know it, once again, it's sponsored by Coleman Furniture Market because, well, they always have what's trending in furniture. They got some amazing deals that you got to check out, including patio furniture. They believe your backyard deserves furniture that's built to last. So they posted some pictures on their Facebook page. Check it out. I mean, this is really nice patio furniture if you want to upgrade your patio space. They posted a picture of the Kingston Outdoor Sectional. It's made tough for years of outdoor living with reclining arm seats for next level comfort and built-in console with storage to keep your essentials close by. I mean, it looks really nice. I have to say, I kind of want it myself. Go to ColemanFurnitureMarket.com to find out more. See that picture I just mentioned on their Facebook page, or go to the store in the heart of Coleman, Alabama. When you do, let them know you heard about it from Yaffee. All right, Walker, what's number 5 today?
Number 5 today, Starbucks has announced when it's bringing back the pumpkin spice latte, and that will be on August 25th.
All right, thank you for doing that update for my wife.
Yeah,
right,
you're
Steffi,
so welcome.
I hope you heard it. Sure you heard it, Steffi. That was all for you. That wasn't for me. I don't care.
If you want it a little bit sooner, Dunkin' is bringing back their pumpkin flavors August 19th.
Honestly, I'm surprised it's not already back. That's why it's just not back now.
Just as soon as the 4th of July was over, bring out
seriously.
the pumpkin spice.
I'm kidding about it. There are some places, I guess, that do it year-round, but no. It's smart for Starbucks not to do it year-round because they can, it's a bunch of hype.
Yeah, they have a reason to drive in a lot of customers. They will also be adding pecan drinks, such as the pecan cortado and pecan crunch latte.
The what? I'm confused. The con?
Pecan.
Oh, pecan. I thought you said the con. The con drink. What?
Or pecan.
Yeah, pecan. You got to say pecan. I'm not going to... there we go. That's what you're supposed to say on this show, I guess. All right. Anything else Starbucks is introducing that we need to know about?
They'll also have banana bread lattes.
Oh, that's interesting. I could see people liking that. Not me, but people. I'm going to stick to vanilla.
Yeah,
and this is where Dale says, of course you will, Yaffee. Go ahead.
I usually go for vanilla or mocha type drinks.
Well, okay, yeah. So we're similar in that regard.
Yeah.
I put stevia in mine too. To make it even sweeter, but... All right, what's number 4?
Number 4, Spider-Man Brand New Day has set the second best North American opening ever with 355 million in ticket sales.
Yeah, so they have already, and this is just the first weekend, they have already beat this movie has already beat Superman and Supergirl combined for their total gross.
Yeah, it was only
in just one weekend. That's crazy.
Only 2 million shy of Avengers Endgame.
Yeah. And we all remember what a big deal that was.
Right.
But I mean, really, I want to see it. It looks good. But really what this tells me is that people are willing to see a superhero movie if it looks good. People are willing to see movies if they're good.
Yeah, worldwide it was 927 million, where Endgame was 1.2 billion. So about 100 million off there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's crazy. That's crazy. 100 million, almost to $1 billion. And like I said, Superman and Supergirl came out, but Supergirl this year, Superman last year, and you put those together for their total gross, and this already beat it. And
yes.
that poor James Gunn, he's not happy today. He's the director of Superman. People didn't know. All right, what's number 3?
Number 3, people are split over a recent crumble cookie that was Flamin' Lime Crunch Cookie, which had a lime sugar base with cream cheese frosting and, quote, spicy cheese crisps, which is like hot Cheetos. And,
okay, you're going to have some?
Well, apparently the last day it was available was August 1st, but people are still talking about it because some people rated it as poorly as -100 out of 10. And then there are people who were saying that it's actually not that bad, that the cream cheese frosting balances out the hot Cheeto flavor. And a few pointed out that the chips on top were stale and a potential health hazard.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, I doubt
Jeez.
that it was actually... Are stale chips a health hazard?
I didn't think so. I thought it just didn't taste good.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Although my wife is very much like, if something's expired, she throws it away. Like, she doesn't take a chance. It's gone.
If it's within like a day or two, I'll typically be fine. But beyond that, I don't like to take the risk.
Yeah, I mean, she's very paranoid. Probably a good thing. I guess if you're going to be paranoid about something like that. Don't go too much in the other direction, I guess. If you're going to do that. Okay. All right, what's next?
So number 2 today, Vincent Pastore from The Sopranos has died at 80 years old.
Yeah, I saw this story. Were you into that show?
I wasn't. I think it was before my time. And
that would be a good point. Have you ever seen reruns or anything?
I've seen a couple episodes, but I don't remember much.
Yeah, I remember when it was out, it was on HBO. And I didn't have HBO at the time, so I didn't really get into it. I've seen some episodes. I've always thought about going back and watching it because it kind of looks good. It's just, it's another one of those things where it's such a commitment to watch a show like that.
Right.
Because they're longer episodes, and it's just like, especially with 2 kids now, it's like, I don't have the time to commit to these shows.
He also starred in Carlito's Way, Goodfellas, even did a voice in Shark Tale.
Okay. Does he play like a mob? I can't remember. Does he play like a mob voice in that?
He plays like what you would probably consider the mob's.
Okay.
Like the boss's
crony or something.
Yeah.
Lackey.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
His name was Luca.
Yeah, so he was definitely typecast.
Yes.
Apparently he didn't mind. I'm sure he got a good paycheck for it. So.
Oh yeah, because most of his roles have to be like that.
And they're not big. Sopranos was huge. Goodfellas, the movie was huge. So,
Even
I mean, yeah.
Law and Order and Hawaii 5-0.
There you go. There you go. He had a niche and he used it. So good for him. Good for him. He had a good long life, a good career. Sad to see him go.
Yeah, and it was of natural causes. So
yeah. He was 80, you said. So.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, what's number one?
Number one, New York is wanting to, officials are suing the prediction market platform Kalshi. Because
I was wondering when this was going to start.
Yep. They are calling it an illegal, unlicensed gambling operation. And they are wanting to stop its operations and force the company to forfeit its profits.
Yeah, I'm curious where this goes. So we had the Attorney General of Alabama write to the U.S. Attorney General, I believe, and said it should be considered something that can be regulated on the state level. Because technically it's been kind of a loophole where it's not really considered gambling, but it is. I mean, it is.
Right.
And they're like, no. This is something that should, at the very least, be regulated on the state level. So I was wondering when this was going to come. It's either going to come, like you said, through lawsuits or a ruling from the Department of Justice. It might go all the way to the Supreme Court. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and Kalshi and similar platforms are arguing that they are federally licensed and regulated and that states have no authority to govern them.
So as of right now, under the Department of Justice, they are. It's federally licensed and regulated. And because it's not usual betting, it's considered not the same as it would be on the state level, but that's being disputed, obviously, with this lawsuit here, but in other ways. So it's this doesn't surprise me. It's gonna continue to be an issue, I would assume. All right, Walker, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you want to weigh in, we have our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. We'll end the show with the Yaffee program Rewind in just a moment. Stay with us.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
We're back on the Yaffee program. This is News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Glad you have joined the show today. As always, let's end the show like we usually do. Let's just go ahead and do it. Right now, we have the Yaffee program Rewind. That time of the show where I remind you, if you missed any of it live, well, the podcast is up on the website, WVNN.com, or, of course, anywhere you get your podcasts, which includes iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the WVNN app. And I'm sure there are a bunch of other podcast outlets you can check it out, so go do that whenever you can. You can also listen to the show live at WVNN.com or many of those outlets as well, the iHeartRadio app and so forth. So we started the show today, and I said a simple truth. I'm not the only one who has ever said this. It's not necessarily groundbreaking, but every time you do, a lot of people get upset. But the fact is, the best way in America to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That's just the reality. We need good guys with guns out there to stop the bad guys, and that's what happened in Idaho. A guy started doing a mass shooting at an In-N-Out Burger in Idaho, and it took an off-duty police officer and another good Samaritan, they're calling him, to stop that guy with their own firearm shooting back. Now, they didn't kill him, but that seemed to change things, and he ended up killing himself. 3 people were killed, which is horrific, but it could have been a lot worse. And I also made the point that maybe we should start calling these terrorist attacks, because when you focus on the fact that it's a shooting, we assume that, well, if they, a crazy guy who was willing to die to kill other people, do we honestly think if we took away the gun that he wouldn't try something else? We have seen, the Boston bombing, for instance. Unfortunately, they're mass killings. And really, they're similar to terrorists where they're willing to kill themselves in the process. Just they have different motivations a lot of times. Now, go ahead if you can, Walker. Play the police chief. Go on and play cut 2 of the police chief for me.
we can confirm that there was an off-duty state trooper and a citizen who actively engaged the suspect by returning gunfire towards him. We want to take a moment and commend the actions of the off-duty officer and the citizen in their heroic action to stop this incident. We believe their actions helped drive the suspect away from the scene, preventing further casualties. We can confirm that in the minutes after law enforcement arriving and beginning their search for the suspect, we had a second officer-involved shooting. No one was injured in that incident, and the Twin Falls police officer involved in that shooting, his actions are now being reviewed by the Jerome Police Department. More information about that incident will be forthcoming in the days to follow.
All right, there you go. So even he gives credit to them. We talked about that at the beginning of the show. We also talked about the latest in Iran and President Trump once again doing a pause, I guess. So play a Trump cut one for me.
Just see how it is. We're ready to go anytime we want. Would I rather make a deal? I'm not looking to kill people. Saudi Arabia, by UAE, and by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go. We had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II, and it would have been disastrous for them.
All right, there you go. I'm not a huge fan of these pauses and everything, but we talked about that earlier. The podcast is up. We have the Alabama bullet points as well, the top stories from around the state, including the fact that the Alabama Republican Party is rallying behind closed primaries, and they did it during their annual summer dinner that happened over the weekend. So I have the details of that in the bullet points. We also had Todd Stacy on to talk about that and more. He's with Alabama Daily News and Alabama Public Television's Capital Journal. So check out my interview with him. The podcast will be up on the website. Then we did the Sunday News Show's recap. And the first cut I played was RFK Jr. basically arguing with Dana Bash on CNN's State of the Union over COVID and vaccines and everything. Pretty chaotic, but go and play RFK cut one for me.
It is also factually true that the COVID vaccine worked. The COVID vaccine prevented deaths. There is data upon data upon data. Let's talk about the measles, please, because this is something that is happening as we speak. The cases in the U.S.
vaccine protected children.
I think that what I have talked to scientists and doctors
You've talked
about.
to scientists. Can you show me one study?
Yes, I can.
That shows that
I can.
Children were protected by the COVID vaccine.
I can tell you that there
vaccine did more good than harm to children. Can you show me one study that shows that?
I can tell you that when it comes to the vaccine, there have been studies that show that because of vaccine disinformation, there could have been 100 to 200,000 lives in the U.S. saved. But because people didn't get the vaccine, that's why. I'm not saying that it entirely.
You are saying nonsense. You are saying something that you cannot show me a single study.
I am not saying nonsense.
You are talking what somebody told you.
Excuse me.
And you cite me the study. What study?
No, what studies are you talking about? You're talking about studies that actually don't exist. I want to talk about.
All right, there you go. The podcast of that segment is up. Also, we were playing, I wanted to play this cut before we go of Joe Manchin. I'll play this again because he's a former Democrat. He's not in Congress anymore. Wants to get rid of the two-party system, but was asked about if he would ever vote for a socialist, one of these Democrat socialists. His response was pretty funny. So going to play Joe Manchin cut one.
Heather, could you ever support a self-described socialist candidate?
No.
No way. My God, no.
And
even if they have some good ideas?
I support the good ideas, but how could you support some of the crazy stuff they're for? Have you seen their platform? They're for dismantling everything that we know, whether it be the structure of government, Congress itself, or the Senate they want to get rid of. And then they start talking about all the crazy things. No police, no this, no that. Are you crazy? We want. You
can stop it there. So I just wanted to get that part. By the way, I want to tell you real quick about the sponsor here, Huntsville Men's Clinic. Guys, get your testosterone checked. You can change your life. Very easy to do. $99 for that appointment. Go to HuntsvilleMen'sClinic.com. It's HuntsvilleMen'sClinic.com. Tell them Yaffee sent you.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.